Let's go over his draft picks from 2025, shall we? That, unfortunately, was a major part of the storyline in the Bears' 52-21 loss to the Lions. Colston Loveland was drafted out of Michigan at 10th overall. 10th. So that person should be a functional part of your offense now. Colston Loveland had 1 target in yesterday's game out of 68 plays run by the Bears. Luther Burden, the wide receiver out of Missouri from East St. Louis, who they were very excited to get. He was drafted 39th overall. So Burden in yesterday's game had 1 catch for 5 yards. He was targeted twice. I'm a little more lenient when it comes to a receiver, but he was considered a first-round pick by many and ends up dropping to the second round. The Bears were thrilled about it. This is what got to a lot of people. Ozzie Trapillo, the offensive lineman out of Boston College, 7th offensive lineman picked in the draft. He was taken 56th overall. He was inactive, a healthy scratch. Shamar Turner out of Texas A&M, the defensive lineman. He was taken 62nd overall. He was inactive. Then the Bears had a trade where they dropped, and they had a trade with the Bills, if you'll recall. Pick 132 and pick 169, they received to give up pick 109. So dropping in those spots, there were also several running backs that came off the board over that span. Then you go to Ruben Hippolyte, which is who they took out of Maryland at 132. Zay Frazier, who we mentioned earlier, the defensive back out of UTSA, 169. He is out for the season, we know, with a personal issue. Luke Newman, the offensive lineman out of Michigan State, was number 195. And Kyle Monangai, 233rd overall, the running back out of Rutgers.
Are you surprised or simply displeased? That is the question.
What?
In terms of the usage of this year's draft picks. Because I'm displeased, but I'm also surprised. I'm both. Because listen, Colston Loveland was the 10th overall pick, and at the time you were thinking, okay, what are they going to do? And it was the fact that they took 2 offensive players back-to-back when they had specific needs. That's what strikes me about this, especially when you look at the running back position right now.
I think what my issue has always been with this team is there's putting a roster together and then there's building a team. And Brad Holmes and the Lions built a team. They built from the inside out. The 2 biggest names that they started with when they wanted to do their rebuild were Aiden Hutchinson and Penei Sewell. 2 who were considered generational talents. I hate using that word anymore, but they both were considered that. And it took a little bit for Sewell, I think, to be that person, but he absolutely matured into one. He's a huge part of the reason the Lions are so successful. When you consider that they built from the inside out, they found their cornerstones. When we talk about the Bears' cornerstones, or we talk about who the Bears depend on the line, from a drafting standpoint, it's drafting a player with traits like Gervon Dexter, but wanting him to be different than what his system was when he played at Florida. You're asking people to be different. You decided to build from the outside in here. When it came to guys like Kyler Gordon, then you obviously have Jaquan Brisker. Velus Jones famously was your first offensive pick. And I even got flack then for talking about how you need those people to help build your team.
Well, Brisker and Gordon are hits. Those are hits.
But you can't throw away the rest of that draft and say, these are experimental picks, or you have the capital to have all of these risks that you want to take drafting trait-based players and not necessarily what they look like on tape. They pay people for their potential. We just talked earlier about the contract to Dayo Odengbo, for example. They are wanting him to be this person. My main issue, though, with all of this is, with what proof do you have that you've hired people that you can even trust to positively change these people? Ben Johnson might be the first proof of it, and Ben Johnson got here 3 years into the process.
Also, I think, Mark, specifically, when you talk about Ryan Poles, and this is what I'll always go back to, show me who on this team is good. And when I say good, I mean someone who can be elite, someone who other teams fear and game plan for either on offense or defense.
To some degree, Jaquan Brisker, yes. I mean, I've definitely heard offensive coordinators on the other side say you have to circle that guy. We know Kyler Gordon is on the rise, so those are two guys right there.
I'll take this year's draft class out of it. We've got 3 years of people to work with.
Yeah.
And you're saying you're going to give me one guy, maybe 2 out of 3 years?
Oh, yeah, no, there should be more.
You asked the question. He spent 2 draft picks on punters.
Yeah, no, he asked the question. I answered the question.
No, you're right.
As far as the draft this year, I can't, after 2 weeks, say guys like Ozzie Trapillo, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, and Shamar Turner are busts. Now, the background, the resume says it's possible, but what we've learned, at least it's not good. Like Ozzie Trapillo being inactive is jarring. There's no doubt about that because he is a guy that was supposedly competing for the left tackle spot. What we learned and what the Bears learned in real time is that he's not a left tackle. That they thought, and I called it all along. I said that there's no way a guy who played that little left tackle at Boston College is going to come into the pros and be a left tackle in his first year. He's a right tackle. Luther Burden, I think that maybe I'm wrong. Can't we all agree that Luther Burden, it's very possible that Luther Burden is still going to be a good player in the NFL. It's still very possible that Colston Loveland is going to be a good player in the NFL. I don't know about Shamar Turner, but at least those 3 guys.
You know why you don't know about Shamar Turner? Because you haven't seen enough of Shamar Turner.
Well, it's why, like, the Shamar Turner thing is very interesting. I'll take you guys into the locker room a couple of weeks ago, heading into the Minnesota game. And I remember, like, Shamar Turner, like, this really gregarious personality, like that on the first day, like that we met and I loved, and like everybody's favorite guy. He was so quiet in that locker room. I went up to him and he did not want, I don't even know if he heard me, but he didn't want to talk, or it didn't seem. And this is without a game. And I was like, what is going on here? What's going on with that gregarious guy, Shamar Turner? And to me, that said, I wonder if Shamar Turner is not a part of things. I wonder if he got some bad news about an evaluation for right now that he was told not yet. And it seems like the same thing with Luther Burden, the same thing with Ozzie Trapillo, the same thing, Manungai, to a different degree, did not get a carry last week, lost 2 yards on a carry this week. But there are some issues that are jarring, but the point is, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys how great I thought Colston Loveland looked in training camp and then now say these guys are all busts.
But here's the issue, though. This is Rahimi, Harris and Grote on 670 The Score. We're talking about the Bears personnel. Let's play a game where we go back to the 2023 draft, okay?
Ooh, I love that game.
First round offensive tackle Darnell Wright. Second round defensive lineman, as I mentioned, Gervon Dexter. Tyreek Stevenson. Your third round defensive tackle was Zach Pickens, who I feel like we're talking about in a way the same way we did with Shamar Turner, where he didn't see time. And when he did see time, it was limited. Then you have Roschon Johnson in the 4th round. Other picks included Tyler Scott, who got cut. Linebacker Noah Sewell, who's had to play a lot. Defensive back Terrell Smith, unfortunately injured. Defensive back Travis Bell, and safety Kendall Williamson.
Both gone.
This is a thing. This is how you build your team.
Also, this is why I didn't want to. That's why I didn't include this year's draft picks when I asked the question, because I do believe they deserve time to develop. I don't need my second round pick to be an immediate guy necessarily, but he's got to be contributing
absolutely
during the first season of his existence.
I thought Shamar Turner, like for example, would have been contributing right. Hey, Gervon Dexter, when he came in, he contributed right away. I'm at the point though, and Leila just went through the 2023 draft where I'm like, okay, where's the impact for Gervon Dexter? You know what I mean? Where is he not going to be able to stick here?
And so when we have this discussion and try to broaden it out and try to take a landscape of like Ryan Poles drafted players, my whole thing is this. It's one thing if the Bears are 1-1 and looking good and improving. Coming off the blowout loss of yesterday, it just makes it that much more glaring that the guys you have on the field aren't getting the job done, and these are the guys that are holding back your healthy scratches from getting on the field.
Let's go to 2022. As we mentioned, Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, both in the second round. Velus Jones Jr., a player the Bears thought had traits and could develop. Similar pattern is in the third round. Braxton Jones is your starting left tackle, but he was challenged by 3 other people in the offseason. as your sitting left tackle. Dominique Robinson was pick number 174. Zachary Thomas in round 6. Treston Ebner, round 6. Doug Kramer, who was playing at center, but they never intended him on using him as a center. Round pick 6207. To Tyree Carter, round 7. That's an offensive lineman. Safety Elijah Hicks was a 7th round pick. And Trenton Gill, who was the other punter they drafted.
Elijah Hicks, good.
I think part of the issue, too, is when we talk about players like Karan Amagaji, individually, he may get too much flack, but we talk about him like where he was drafted and valued by this team, which was 3rd round, 75th overall. And he's a healthy scratch.
No, if you have a 3 next to your name, you're not helping the Bears during Ryan Pohl's time drafting players. That's just the reality of where we are as you go up and down the list. And there were no 3rd round picks. We jokingly said he wants to avoid that. So, but now you look at the 2nd round picks, like, well, dang, the 2nd round picks ain't doing a whole lot either.
Well, and therefore, when all these decisions fall at the feet of scouting and the GM, who was not only retained but extended.
Yeah, he was. I will tell you that on the Take the North podcast, TTN, that Dan Weeder had that question for us in our predictions. Who is going to be the most disappointing player for the Bears? I did say Luther Burden. And I kind of figured this because he missed the offseason program because he wasn't there for it. So like that stuff is real. And part of my reasoning too was like that early in the season, and you got all those other guys that are kind of ahead of him. Like I just didn't think there was going to be a whole lot in the cupboard early on for Luther Burden, but there eventually has to be. And if the season keeps going the way it is,
he's the DJ
they're just gonna put players in to put players in.
And frankly, right now, you're hoping that the head coach changes this process. You're hoping that the head coach
do something different,
fixes something that has been innate with this front office when it comes to how they view people. It's the hope of potential. It's the hope of what they think they're going to see. It's them optimistically paying people for work that they haven't necessarily done yet. But you have nothing proving you can change anyone.
Leila, don't you think it's already happened? Don't you think that Ben Johnson is probably the one that says, I can't use Ozzie Trapillo, or I can't scheme Colston Loveland, right? I can't use Shamar Turner to some degree because if Ryan Poles had the same power that we perceive that he once did, he might be telling. You don't think he would have told?
Get on the floor.
Oh yeah, you don't think he would have told Matt Eberflus? Because that was the whole thing with Flus. He had complete power over Matt Eberflus. This coach is different, so I do wonder what Ben Johnson has already said to his GM in terms of, I'm sorry, I can't. You don't need to dress Ozzie Trapillo, which is a shame.
But how sure are you about that? Because
I'm not. I'm surmising.
I think there were some players that were Matt Eberflus type of players. Like Javon Dexter, I think, was somebody who Eberflus thought he could use. And even he said things like, we need a 3 technique, and he didn't get what he wanted either.
Right.